It's the Nuclear Playground Podcast.
Action.
Action!
What's up, man?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm tired,
Tired as fuck.
like always. So, how was your day, man?
Good. How about you?
Oh, you know, it's wet. It's cold. I'm going hunting tomorrow. I was supposed to go today.
I was supposed to go with you, but I didn't think it was coming up so soon. I wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
I was not prepared.
So, I was supposed to be going again later in the year because I have till the 31st of December, right? So Matt wanted to come up there, and I don't know when that's going to happen, but I plan on going at least a couple more times before the end of the year.
Right.
Depending. If I'm really successful when I go up there this week, then there's like really no need for me to go up there. But if I don't get a deer,
Excuse me.
which that can happen, we can go up hunting. Honestly, whether I get a deer or not, it's not. I just want to go.
What are the odds that we can go up there like after Halloween?
Fairly good. Maybe for
I still want to go.
maybe for like the
It's
weekend.
just- Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go up there for a
you-
whole week because that was my thing. If I was gonna go for a whole week, there'd be no guarantee that I'd be able to afford shit when I came back, let alone getting my gun and my jacket. But
Right.
I do want to go get my gun and my jacket soon, and then I do want to get just want to go for a few days. I just can't go for a whole week just because I got to go to Detroit on New Year's.
Yeah.
So we've already bought the plane ticket and all that stuff, but you know I'm still trying to keep money ahead for like the future. Because we've decided that we're not going to be buying last minute tickets as of this month. Like we were like, no more last minute tickets. We're buying our New Year's ticket today, which was like about like 3-4 days ago. And we're just gonna start planning ahead. And we have planned ahead on like one trip. Like when I left in June, we planned that out in like April or May.
Right.
But when I left in spring, when we were supposed to go to Anime Detour, because she was supposed to come here, and we're going to go to the con, but then they canceled like a few weeks before the con. So actually a week before the con. So we were like, was it a week? It was just before the con. That's when we found out. And so I was like, fuck it. What are we going to do? Like we were supposed to go to Detour like this weekend.
Right.
She was like, do you want to just come here? And I was like, fuck it. Let's go. And I just flew out like
Right.
the next day. But we're going to try to start buying our tickets in advance, like a few months in advance. And then it's going to limit how often we see each other, though. That's the only problem.
Is it?
Yeah, until I move, at least.
How so? Well, you guys could just plan a lot.
Yeah, but it would still be like every few months. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
Like,
isn't that the par for course right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we'd have to sacrifice like 1 or 2 extra months. But yeah, it's been like the last in March. I went there. She came here in January. Yeah, so January, March. I went back out there in June. No, when was my store closed? 'Cause that was a free paid vacation. I went in May.
Yeah.
Came back around like June, and then she came here in July for that camping trip, which was awesome. And then I went in October,
Right.
or like the first day of October. So
Right.
yeah, I think we're par for the course.
Yep.
We just been buying our tickets last minute. Like the last flight was like way the fuck too much. It was
Yeah.
$220 something, some shit like that.
Bro, I could have drove you there.
It was a long ass drive.
No. You would. I drove to Georgia in fucking 16, 15 hours, bro.
About how long it takes to get to Michigan on the Greyhound.
Yeah, but they make a fuck ton of stops.
Whoa.
Wow.
How's that in the slideshow?
Now that is fucking awesome, Sprout. Whoa.
We'll just go back to Logic. How about that?
Yeah, that's cool.
It's the old slideshow from like the first season that we did, like back at the old studio.
Oh yeah,
and
really...
I apparently some shit got slipped in there.
Yeah, I like that you have those files. But what were we saying?
Traveling.
Oh yeah, dude, I fucking made it down to Georgia. You know how far Georgia is? It was 1,142 miles.
What did Google project for the drive?
An 18-hour drive.
So you killed about 2-3 hours
off of it, yeah.
Well, I guess,
and I made a stopper too.
I guess in your defense, we did drive to Upper Peninsula, Michigan, in like 2 hours less than what it was projected. It was supposed to be like a full work shift drive, like an 8-hour drive.
Yeah, we got there in like
5-6 hours,
yeah.
5.5 hours, some shit like that.
Yeah,
got there so fast that we were able to order food at the most uncomfortably racist bar ever.
Yep. Yep. That's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, other than me hunting, been working, making shit work, you know, take care of the family. I know you've been busy with work.
Mm-hmm. At both jobs.
Yep. But other than that, the neighborhood's been crazy. So like last night, okay, so after I left your house, the cops, no shit, dude, were right around the corner, and Bailey was riding behind the
that
car.
same cop car that was
Yeah.
trying to stalk us when we pulled up at my house.
Yep.
So quick backstory. Last night, Sherm was dropping me off at my crib, and at the corner, which is like literally 3 houses away from where I live, the cop was turning up the hill, and we were coming down the hill.
Yep.
And he looked dead into the windshield as we were like coming down the hill. So I happened to say, "This old cop-ass cop," because he was looking dead at us. And so
Yep.
we pulled in my driveway. We're sitting there talking for a little bit.
I seen him at the top of the hill.
He came back down the top of the hill.
I seen him stop at the top of the hill. He didn't even make the turn. He just fucking was sitting at the top of the hill.
It posted up. And then when we got in the driveway, he came up behind us, drove behind us on the street going west. But then, because I live in a T intersection, so he went north going up the street that I live on, and he just posted up like halfway up the block and was just waiting for us to do something. So I was like, we're going to go inside for a little bit.
Yeah. 'Cause I didn't want to get fucked with. It would have been a waste of my time.
Robbinsdale's about to have a new chief of police,
Yeah.
and it makes me nervous because that's the same type of lurking that I dealt with when I was walking around the block smoking a cigarette, and I see all these white people out at like 11:30, 2 o'clock in the morning,
It was like
walking
10.
their dogs and shit, smoking cigarettes. It was like 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
I was clearly getting off of work, like I had my work vest on and all that shit, and I was on the phone. I was having a regular ass phone conversation. And here comes this. I seen the cop just lurking in the shadows, and I seen him see me see him. And so I kept walking, and then he came around the corner, and he stops me, and he's talking about, I'm out here jiggling doorknobs and shit, going into people's houses. I want to look in your backpack. And the whole time I'm keeping my distance, except for when I had to give him my ID. But I'm like, I know what you're trying to do. You know what this looks like to me? And he's like, well, you know what it looks like to us? And I'm like, this is really fucked up. We had to complain to the chief of police about it.
Yeah.
And that shit stopped after that. Like, all the cops have been super cool with my ass ever since then. But now that they're getting a new chief, they're on some whole other bullshit. Especially now, like, more black folk are coming into the neighborhood and shit like that.
I'm just glad that, you know, I had a friend come ride behind us, you know, on the way home, which was great. But while we were in the garage, here, while we were in the studio, I mean, after we had moved our friend out, there was like you were in the house, or I don't know where. Yeah, you were in the house, and there was like, I don't know how many gunshots, dude, like 20 or 30 gunshots last night, like
near my house
from over here. And I was like, nobody heard that? But I was sitting in here, you know, enjoying the empty studio. But yeah.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who's in the Robbinsdale area that is watching this, because I mean I could just be using like past experience to make some fucking accusations about the police, but I mean that whole incident, the first incident was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
They're a whole nother kind of police now, and it just feels weird to me, and I don't like it.
Well, just based on like recent police and civilian relations.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah,
but I mean that's how I've always looked at it with the police, though, man. Like,
well,
I
yeah,
can't.
but now it's just like it's not just your view. It's like like people are watching now. Like it's not just you and the cops dealing with the situation. Like everybody's like, hey, what? There's a vibe in the air.
I used to think cops were cool as shit until they stopped engaging in the community.
Yeah.
And then like they started getting more cops from like the suburbs and shit like that. And ever since then, I don't trust the cops.
Right.
And that's been since I was like 13.
And it really is a weird situation. But I was gonna ask you something earlier. You told me something about a news report about some Texas guy shooting somebody.
It just popped up on my phone when we pulled up in the studio. I use a Citizen app, and so I get a lot of news about what's going on in the neighborhood as far as like when there's like gunshots heard or reported, if there's like heavy police activity somewhere, if there's a protest somewhere.
Right.
It gives me like stats on like the positive case per actual contraction of the virus ratio, all kinds of like local shit. So it says here that a 26-year-old Texas man was affiliated with a far right group. It says they were called the Boogaloo Boys.
I know the Boogaloo Boys.
Is how it's spelled, boys. And he said he was charged with the shooting at the Minneapolis 3rd Precinct building and inciting a riot during the unrest over officer-involved death of George Floyd in late May. It says the charges were unveiled on Friday in the U.S. District of Court of Minnesota state that Ivan Harrison Hunter traveled interstate with intent to incite, organize, and participate in a riot. The document also accuses Hunter of firing 13 rounds from an AK-47 style rifle at the precinct building, then yelling "Justice for Floyd." According to an informant, looters were believed to be in the building when Hunter fired. What day was that on?
That had to have been after the fall of the precinct on like the 28th.
Huh. It says that the document states that Hunter's a self-professed member of the Boogaloo Boys, a loosely connected group of individuals espousing violent anti-government sentiments that were purportedly under FBI investigation. The complaint also includes that messages exchanged between Hunter and the Boogaloo Boys member Stephen Carrillo, who was charged in California with the May 29th murder of a federal protective service officer in Oakland. Also notes that Hunter posted on Facebook that he helped burn the precinct down. Hunter is the third member of the group to be arrested in connection with unrest on May 27th and 28th. I was there on the 28th.
Yeah. I was there the 26th, 27th, 28th. Yeah.
Benjamin Ryan Teeter and Michael Robert Solomon were indicted in Minneapolis in September. And then it says something about on Thursday, the driver of a semi-truck who barreled through thousands of peaceful protesters on a bridge on Interstate 35W near downtown Minneapolis was charged with a felony. Bogdan Vechirko was charged with a felony count of threats of violence and a gross misdemeanor count of vehicle operation.
And they're all connected with the Boogaloo Boys.
Mm.
So, but I heard some Spanish names, and then you know what's funny is that goes to show like it really is colors over religion and over race.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is, and even probably more so than anything else, colors over everything. Just look at our country right now. It's divided between blue and red, not Crips and Bloods, but
Mm-hmm.
the Democrats and Republicans. It's like super tribalism shit, right? And it kind of goes to kind of similar to what Birch was asking us today? What did he ask us
Yeah,
specifically?
so we got a couple of requests on Twitter here to discuss some stuff, and let me just go scroll up here. Terrible service in here.
Don't
discuss how.
disrespect.
Oh, also follow him at Twitter at Hey I'm Burrich. He says he asked us to discuss how sexuality, culture, race, religion, political sides, history, and more are the root cause of the clique mentality when it comes to America, and it being a key factor in hate, racism, and lost morality.
Yeah,
and that's kind of
it's a deep subject. It's because, like, if you think about it, we go just a lot of those things, like not even gender,
right,
or just gender. Look, we got the pay gap, right?
mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people who don't believe in it, and people who do believe in it. There's a lot of things that are true, and there's a lot of things that aren't true. Like, so for me, it's not a black and white issue. They like some fields, women are getting fucked over, you know.
Yeah.
But in other fields, they're doing well. And okay, just like my cousin, she got in the union. She got paid like top dollar right away.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like manual labor. Not a lot of women are in manual labor, and I know they get paid pretty well right off top. But like, I don't know. It's like a skill based thing. But when you get into like somewhere where like office building type shit,
or like the city workers that
yeah.
come out and do like the stuff on the streets. Like, remember we had drove by and they just had the lady there like with the sign.
Yeah.
And that was like, I'm pretty certain that's like all they let her do.
And she gets paid
like,
fucking top dollar.
Does she?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yes. Ask most city workers. They
so
all
I
get
could just
paid
be
around the
homie
same.
with the sign and I could just get
but
paid?
You got to be homie with the sign that's not doing anything, so you can't be smoking. You know, that's a government job, so it's a little more regulated. But like I said, like office jobs, like we're executives or in the business world, or like a lot of other, probably even nurses. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in that field, so I wouldn't know. And who's that?
Sorry about that. That's Steve.
Thanks, Steve Sprout. But yeah, no, a lot of people, I don't know what the fields are like, but from some of the ones I do know, it's not that great for women as far as office work or like anything outside of manual labor. And I know a lot of people get started off, like anybody who doesn't have any experience gets started off at the bottom, and you work your way up to the top with skill, right? Mm-hmm. And like, so to get into certain unions, you have to go and be certified through certain shit. So you get a starting off pay, you know what I'm talking about? And then depending on your skill level and how well you are, they have mandatory increases. This union shit, there's no gender thing in union shit.
But there's like a lot of bureaucracy and red tape that's involved with that, you know what I mean? But like as a result of all that shit,
right?
That shit's kind of like set in stone.
Yeah, it's a union. It's set in stone. You can't be denied.
Or like, for example, like people who work for like a salary, like, and they're not union. There's no like there's no like set like 40 hours a week guaranteed. Like they'll just work your ass off sometimes depending on what you're doing. Right. And like
that's what I'm saying. Like the office is
you still get what you get. You don't get no overtime to that shit. You get what you get.
Well, salary is like that though.
Yeah.
Like even in like places that there's not union, it could be unionized, but it's not. Well, my friend Matt, it's a perfect example. Like he made salary, but they fucking worked him more than they worked me. I worked like 40 hours. I'm like, I'm done for the fucking week. See ya. And Matt would be working like well before I started, and sometimes long after I fucking went home. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, pfft. But you know, he got paid for it. I was like, you signed up for it. They even say like 40 plus. You know, you don't get overtime, so they'll just work you as much as they can. I think that's just salary in general.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has much to do, but I feel like nepotism probably helps. So like say your friend or your cousin is under you and he's a guy, and then there's this woman there and your friend wants time off and shit, and you're like, well, I need some extra shit done. I'll just make her work longer. She's salary. right?
Right.
Your salary, but you want to go. You're my boy. I'm sure that happens a lot because a lot of the people on top are guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. I'm just from what it used to be. I don't know if anything's changed, and I haven't been looking, to be honest. It's been a lot of looking in other places recently. So, but just that, and like a perfect example, like gender. There's like that right there.
Yeah.
It causes a lot of things. People look at males as rapists or females as like gold diggers, or like there's like a lot of negative things.
I mean, I've heard a certain number of females tell me to my face, like, or like even on the phone, like, you know, sometimes like, you know, like it's hard for me to take you seriously because like, I mean, one, I like to crack jokes all the time and shit like that, but
Right.
two, they're like, a lot of the time it's just all I hear in my head is blah blah blah. I'm a man. Look at my dick. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, ouch.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like really hard for people to get along.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like with you got your gender, right? So that's part of your identity. And then you got like other things like your race.
Right.
Okay? So then you got with your race, you got your culture, right? So if you say you're black, you're not just black, right? So when you're black, you have different type of whatever kind of culture you're going to be. Like you can either be like this person or that person or that person, have this belief. You can be super fucking religious.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody likes to lump. I won't say everybody, but a lot of people like to lump all black people into like one type of black person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's not one type of black person. Like just like there's like a million types of white people.
Right.
Like there's like a million types of black people too. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like there's not like a definitive black experience.
Right.
Like, there's like no one way to be black. You can't just be like, I can't do everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
but to go across from that, if people do generally gravitate towards the similar type of person,
mm-hmm.
and they have similar beliefs, and then it becomes like a tribe, right? And then there's this whole tribalism, and the moment you have beliefs with somebody else, or even just like your own shit, you automatically separate yourself, and you already start to draw lines in the sand in your head. Like, I don't like that shit. I don't like you. That happens relatively quick. And I was just reading something like 2 days ago on Wikipedia about a something cave. It was about a bunch of kids. It was an experiment. Robert Cave, that's what it was. Robert Cave experiment. And they put like 22 kids in like a 200-acre forest in like Oklahoma, right? And they divvied them up into groups, and
like some Kid Nation shit.
Yeah, no shit. Okay. So they developed like two groups, and then just based on similarities, and then, you know, the moment that happened, they automatically started to develop hate towards the other group, like immediately.
Did you ever hear? I forget who is responsible for this experiment, but it was like a prison experiment where if they had a certain number of subjects be the inmates, and they had a certain number of subjects be the guards,
right?
And the subjects that were the guards immediately abused that authority,
Yep.
and was treating the inmates like shit.
Yeah,
like
and they had the
that.
fucking
like,
mirrored glasses actually help them. Mirrored glasses. Help them like hide themselves, like they're, you know, that kind of God's watching me feeling like, oh, I can do wrong behind these glasses.
Mm-hmm.
But some people can feel more open to be fucking a filthy bastard with these glasses on, you know, their true selves, because they can hide behind the mirrored glasses.
Yep.
But back to that the Robert Caves experiment, it was like immediately, and then they had some other things like, you know, where they automatically gave them rewards, where like one group was able to get this great reward where the other one wasn't. It wasn't even available to them, so that even created more friction between the groups, right? And then they developed something where it tried to unite these groups that were this resistance towards each other, and they offered them like teamwork strategies and things that actually helped all of them. And it was for the benefit of everybody, and they actually came together and they, relieved some of the tension between the groups. But we don't have anything like that. Like, we need an alien invasion for all of us to go. So like in another experiment, they had a common enemy that joined everybody together.
Right.
But finite resources is basically the cause of most conflict in group experiments like that. So like there's only so much food, and then people start to like develop ways to get over on each other, and then they start to think dirty.
I feel like finite resources are the way things are like right now.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Everything is. And a lot of people think it's not, because they can go to the grocery store and get the shit, Mm-hmm. But that's not the truth.
Not everybody can.
Right. And that's another thing. Mm-hmm. So it's really easy for people to like start picking sides and then start picking like what they don't like about each other. Another quick example is they did that same experiment in the Middle East somewhere, and
right.
It wasn't it was like 22 religious people, so it was like 5 Christians and 4 Muslims in a group, right?
Right.
And it was called like blue team or red team or something experiment. I mean, I can probably look it up later, but what happened was there was like fighting immediately once the 2 groups were made, but it wasn't religious fighting. It wasn't infighting in the groups. It was teams against each other, because the teams were made of like 4 Christians or 5 Muslims or 5 Muslims and 4 Christians. Like
right.
That was the group. So they had them together as a group and another group, and there was like team red and team blue, and they hated each other. Like they said, fuck the religion, we don't care that you're this or you're that, we're on this team. And then that's how it was. And so automatically they had a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Even with different religions, they still hated the other group. That they had a common belief, and they still hated each other,
mm-hmm.
which is fucking insane.
Like back, like way, way back, like when I was like from the age of like 8 or 9 till about like 14, 15, I would always get sent up north to McGregor to like go to this Bible camp.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times, not like every year, but like there's been a couple times where I've gotten into like actual fist fights.
Yeah.
Like my first year was like my first fist fight ever. And it was mostly just because until like the Covenant Church itself had more black involvement outside of like North Minneapolis, you know what I'm saying? Like the Covenant Church is outside of like like in the suburbs and all that stuff, it was mostly white people. And so like you go to Covenant Pines, and it would be like me and a couple other kids from church, and it would only be like, so we'd make up like 5 black kids out of the whole camp out of like hundreds of kids.
Right.
And so like, and all these kids, they rarely interact with black folks, so like right. A lot of them have like these like misconceptions and stereotypes. Right. And I ended up getting cabins with the kids that were always like trying to like mock me or like say some shit sideways just because they thought they can get away with it or whatever. And like perfect example, like remember them like long ass shorts you can buy like back in like the 90s and
right,
shit?
Yeah.
My dad had got me some when I was like 12. And like they're all the way up, you know what I'm saying? Like just around the waist, but they'd have to be long as shit. I loved them. And I was wearing them at camp, and these kids, look at me, I'm Jermaine, like straight sagging like how kids do now, and like walk around like, oh, let's be Jermaine. And I'm like, if this isn't fucked up, I don't know what else is. And I asked them to stop. Like that's not cool. I tried to explain to them that like they're being like I mean, I obviously wasn't talking like this back then, but like they're basically being assholes, you know what I'm saying? And I tried to explain that to them as best as I could, and they still went about it. And I had a short fuse back then, so like I just snapped. I just went off on them kids.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it sucks that it had to happen, but I mean, you can only take so much as a person, you know what I mean? And like, people tend to do fucked up shit when they don't understand things.
Right.
Like this whole coronavirus situation.
Right. Well, I mean, honestly, I think that's one of the biggest and the hardest things for people to do is to understand the people that they hate, or the people that they're in conflict with. I mean, most people, they don't care, because it's their point of view, and they're the ones hurting, so it's all about them,
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for both people on both sides of the fence, because there's no understanding. And I think if you understand where this person's coming from and who they are and all this, you definitely will see things a lot different. You won't just see it as, this is just me. I'm the only person who exists. Fuck these other people and their points of view. And I think once you understand them understanding your problems will be a lot fucking easier. Once they know that you understand them, that they're being heard, I feel like a lot more can be done. There's a lot more room for discord or whatever,
right.
You know what I mean? But
I'm sorry, man, with the microphone and your mirrored glasses right now, It looks like your eyeballs. So it's just super funny because you got these like cartoon looking ass eyes right now. But continue.
I can't. But yeah, I don't know, man. Tribalism. This shit's inherent, but it's really fucking hard to break. And like I said, things that you can unite people are like a common enemy, believe it or not. It's fucking sick that we need something else to hate together in order for us to get along. Perfect example, 9/11, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't Muslim, everybody else loved each other. It was fucked up. I saw
really fucked up.
I saw a lot of people chasing Somalian people around like a week after that happened. Like they did some shit. I'm like, they didn't do nothing. They're fucking Somalian for one. And most of those people were Saudi Arabian. They weren't even fucking like Iraqi or whatever.
I don't know, man. You know how like when people say like if you didn't vote, you don't have a right to complain about the president, that kind of shit. Even like when if there has ever been a good president, I don't know. I'm not that old.
Right.
But like even if like there was like this like top shelf president, right? Like and he was in office and shit was just going great, I can guarantee you there'd still be a healthy chunk of people complaining about some shit.
Right. Well, that's because everybody has their own likes and hates and beliefs, and you know what I mean. Can't make everybody fucking happy. It's just not possible. Not possible. You know how we can't? Well, even then, if there was a comet and we had some way to stop it, I guarantee you there'd be somebody out there like, this is nature's way of taking us out. We shouldn't do this.
There's be another chunk of people like, now's the time, drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, drink it now. Yes, exactly. And then they'll be so vindicated. But at the same time, I'm like, you're not riding that comet to another fucking plane to existence.
You're riding that comet to an explosion.
Right. I don't know, man. It's really hard to not, like I say, not have a dog in the fight. It's really hard. And a lot of times, if you do have a dog, it's usually better to inspect your dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at your dog. I don't know if I should fight this dog. Maybe I should work on this dog first. You know what I mean?
Should've got a bigger dog.
She got a bigger dog. Oh, I need to put this dog on a treadmill. Let's give this dog some steroids.
Woof.
Give him a fucking rubber tire and let him go play with it. I don't know, man. It's really hard to not it's hard to not want to represent something, and be a part of something. And it's hard to not want to be like, fuck those other guys,
Oh, that's the hardest part for like most people, I'm certain.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, even in traffic. Okay, so like we're driving, and some asshole. Okay, he's an asshole because I just called him an asshole, right? But some guy is driving up behind me, right? I'm going the speed limit. He comes flying up behind me and goes around me. Part of me wants to step on the gas and be like, "No, fuck you." But why? Right? What part of me is trying to police this man from doing whatever the fuck he's doing? Why should I care that he's going faster than me? Yeah, it's dangerous. Yeah, he could kill somebody. Am I dead? No, fuck him. I can't stop the world from living like and going on. It's gonna.
maybe because there's like a small part of you that feels like you gotta like save the day, like some like Die Hard kind of way.
Yeah,
like...
but that's like who are we to be fucking God? You know what I mean? Like this guy, obviously he's not dead. He's not into a car accident. I kept driving.
Like, were you trying to be God, or were you just trying to police an individual?
Well, that's
like,
why. Who am I? I'm not his daddy. You know what I mean? It's not my job to fucking sit there and tell an individual about themselves. It's not my belief. Just like, you know, I don't give the world's changing, right? A vulgar person like me or you or like the way we talk or the way we are, the way we grew up is looked at as like not okay, right? Words that we used to use are definitely not okay to use anymore. The way we are, the way we were, we can't be that old model of ourselves.
No.
Because it's not acceptable, right? So, but I'm supposed to change because the world changed. But the reason I am the way I am is because of how the world treated me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, like, I'm molded this way because of all of the oppression and all the fucking bullshit I had to deal with. And now I'm this person. And now the world is like, oh, we're not that anymore. So you can go ahead and be a normal person. I'm like, fuck, what am I supposed to do?
And in oppression aside, like, you always had like a small circle of friends who were like just saying really offensive shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Shit that you can't say anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it was acceptable. Am I going to continue to say that shit because I was used to it back then? No, because I know that it hurts somebody. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't. But I'm choosing to make that change. So, like, I can continue to, like, ride the current of life. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't want to ever have to, like, be a stick that gets caught on the bank somewhere.
Right.
It's the path of least resistance. Like, and I don't have any like firm beliefs that should ever give me any kind of reason to use that shit anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, my thing is my beliefs aren't your beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I look at people and I'm like, no, I can be who I want to be, and I'm tired of motherfuckers trying to tell me what the fuck I can and can't be. It's been that way my whole life, and like the younger generation is gonna look at me and tell me I can't be this way. I'm like, look, your dads and your grandfathers are responsible for the monsters they create. And, you know, now you have to figure out a way to deal with that shit.
I mean, I still got some really fucked up opinions.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain I've expressed them on this podcast several times. That ain't going to change.
Right.
That's, like you're saying, like, that's the world's fault, kind of. Like, it's...
Well, like, yeah, and I mean, at the same time, we're all responsible for ourselves and everything else.
We are, but, I mean, if you grew up in a world that was, like, a lot more abrasive than what it is now, you know what I mean? Like, how are you expect to turn out? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we're in the same fucking age bracket. Like, you know, like we grew up with the same shit. Like, how they expect me to turn out.
Right. I would say the last 7 years, a lot has changed. A lot. It's a lot different. I mean, it's like almost like an awakening, but at the same time, it's still tribalism. It really is. I mean, fuck. And any dog in the fight is basically you have an enemy. As long as there's that, there's no peace.
I mean, do you think that's even something that could be accomplished?
No. Well, if there was endless amounts of everything to go around, then we could all be whoever the fuck we want to be, and nobody would bat an eyelash.
I mean, even with like limited resources,
Unlimited, right?
no, limited.
Oh,
Like
limited.
even with like the limited resources we have right now, like don't you think? Do you? I guess I don't think it's possible, like to achieve like even, just in this country alone, for everybody to just be at peace and like nothing happens every more like and that we're just good. Nah, because like there's not enough to go around.
Right. There's not. Well, that's what I'm saying. We have limited resources. But if that wasn't the case, I feel like we wouldn't have as much conflict. There would be no reason for it. Like, people could be like, oh, yeah, fuck you, in your pants and your hair. I'm going to go home and eat a steak. And that's about as far as it'll go, you know what I mean? Nobody's going to fucking fight each other over it. Because at the end of the day, everybody's going to be satisfied with their lives.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, the moment you add limited resources to any social situation, things get fucking weird. Once that haves become have-nots, and this, that, and the other thing, there becomes like a tier in people, and then that's it. So, I mean, it's really not possible, and a lot of people.
What about like for lack of better words, like civil resources, like the ability to like be treated the same way as anybody else would be by like say like law enforcement or like the courts or and it's not really a resource, but like I guess privilege is kind of a resource. Metaphorically speaking, but like, do you think that like that's gonna be ever like a thing where like we can have like a non-preferential like judicial system where like everybody's just like
Okay.
across the board equal? Like,
Well, let's just look at two basic groups: white people and black people. Okay, we'll take them as our examples, and we just look at it now, and we'll just break it down to real simple shit. A lot of white people don't like black people because they think black people are criminals, and the reason they're criminals is because they're poor, right?
right.
Okay, that's what like a simple ass fucking caveman idea, right? But the moment you give black people the ability to make the same amount, like they have the same resources, like I'm talking money as the white people, regardless, then they're no longer criminals because they have no reason to be criminal, right? And now they can, do whatever. So that's like simple caveman ideas, though. So then they shouldn't have a reason to hate on them other than them being different.
Right.
And then they have no leg to stand on for whatever argument they are. So if a black person ever commits a crime, there's their example. Black people are criminals. One black person, that's enough. In some people's eyes. So,
but like, how old do you think? Like, what age group do you think? Like, okay, because there's like a lot of old people in politics right now, right?
Right.
And there's still a lot of old people in general.
Right.
So, do you think that like there's a chance that like maybe like those kind of beliefs might die out at a certain amount of time?
Yeah.
Because I honestly feel like if you're old enough to retire at 65, you should be done with politics at 65.
Right.
Like just chill the fuck out.
Everything
vote.
changes. Even simple beliefs okay, Spartans. Everybody can romanticize about Spartan, right? I can't remember what it's called, like locodophilia or some shit, whatever it is. Lacedonia or whatever the fuck it is. But their beliefs, I mean, they're a military state, a lot of people look up to that, and they had a lot of political beliefs. So there was a point where their king became obsolete. Basically, it was like a figurehead because all of these, I can't remember what they were called, but they're basically like Congress. They were making all the decisions and shit.
Right.
I was like, yeah, that's great. But then there were other things that never got passed down, right? Like sleeping with young men. You know, when you're a young teenage boy, you're getting wrecked by an older dude because he's your mentor, you know. But I mean, I've read 2 different accounts where they say that didn't happen, and there's other ones that are like, yeah, they were for sure raping little kids. But there's a lot of like pedophilia back in those days, and a lot of like youth naked, like the kids were butt ass naked, and,
just running around.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like just because they're naked doesn't mean people. No, people were actively going after, you know, little boys, and like. In Sparta, there's this. I can't remember what it was called, but there's this ritual, and I don't know if all of Spartan men did this, but there's a ritual where they would take the not bride, but soon to be bride, or whenever to be bride, and they would shave her head bald and dress her up in men's clothes.
I've heard about that.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then they can make love to somebody who's like close to like a man. I don't know if that was like the reasoning or if it was just to hide the identity that that's what they were doing. I don't know. Who knows? You know?
Right.
But there's a lot of those ideas and shit that didn't get passed down. Like, I'm not shaving any of my girlfriend's heads throughout my fucking life. And I'm not doing it.
Put on this mustache.
But, so yeah, of course these things are going to die out. It's just like, how long? And as long as, we allow people to keep breeding these ideas. It's hard. The best way to put it, and it sounds super harsh, and the most German way to put this would be to kill everybody who doesn't believe what you believe. No, I'm just kidding. No.
I see that's the thing right there is like freedom of speech is so complicated.
It is.
It's because like you just have the right to say whatever the fuck you want.
I do. And even if I didn't, I would. And yeah, you know what? There ain't very many of me left, so fuck it. I don't know, man. Is it really hard to believe that people can't play nice?
No, but I mean, like, not everybody's gonna want to.
Okay, you get 2 kids, 4 kids,
Mm-hmm.
8 kids on a big ass beach, no toys. There's just a lake. They're all gonna swim and play. Enough beach for everybody. You throw a shovel on that beach, I guarantee you there's gonna be a fucking fight.
Oh, dude, I see it with your kids all the time.
Yep.
One kid will put some shit down, another kid immediately picks it up. No! No! No!
Yeah.
No! Ah!
Exactly. That's the same with adults. We're all just fucking kids, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We're all traumatized kids trying to pretend like we're adults and mature as shit. Like, fuck no. I like my cereal sweet. I like my cartoons cartoony.
I like candy bars and shit.
You're right. Like, come on. I love fucking Star Wars. I've been looking at buying a fucking lightsaber for the longest time.
I've been watching so much Star Wars.
I know. We're a generation raised by fucking TV.
Yep.
And told what not to do by the outside.
Pretty much.
The TV tells us we can do anything. The outside says no. And we're like, at this point.
But you know what's funny is that, like, when I was growing up, not only did the TV tell me, like, I could do anything, but, like, there was, like, a very specific group of adults that, like, I was close with that were, like, saying the same shit. Like, you can do anything. You can do it. You're capable. You can do it. But then when you actually, like, grow up and you want to do that shit, then you got, like, some, like, old geriatric motherfucker sitting in an office in D.C. somewhere saying, nope.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Fuck, sometimes those same people that told you could do anything you wanted to are the ones telling you no when you get older. It's weird. Because I know a couple of people. I won't be like name dropping them, but the moment I get older and I'm like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Oh, you shouldn't do that, and they're all pissy about their own life, you know. they're dissatisfied about it and they want to change their past, but they can't. And it makes them upset to see somebody else do something that they couldn't accomplish when they had their time, you know? And I'm like, man, there's a million things I'm never going to be able to do. Yeah, it frustrates me, so I do more things, you know, and I'm trying to use my time well. I don't want to be crippled and old and be like, oh, I wish I
had so much stuff to do.
I wanted to go for that hike. I wanted to see the top of this mountain. A lot of people wait till they're fucking old and retired to do that shit, and it blows my fucking mind.
Yeah, it's crazy to me.
Right?
I'm with you on, like, just living life, man. Like, I just want to like, that long-ass hike that we took when we went camping,
Yep.
like, I don't get to do that every day.
Yep.
Like, if there's a chance for me to spend the time in the woods, I'm going to do it.
Yep. Yeah, we don't have a lot of time, and we have more time than anybody else ever did. Like, you go back, okay, I was reading on Spartan people and shit, and like back in like 430 BCE or whatever it is, the median age for a woman for death was 37, like 37.4.
Damn.
That ain't old.
That's not old at all.
I'm 37 right now.
Well, people here when they were colonizing, they were dying at like their like mid to late 30s, 40s.
Right. So, like, yeah, here we are. But I think and a lot of that conflict had to do with cultures that were, I can't remember what the word was, like heteroculture or some shit. But basically where they farmed and they had resources pooled. Whereas, like, there wasn't as much conflict between hunter-gatherers. I mean, there still were. There was just not as much. For one, there wasn't as many people.
Right.
In the hunter-gatherer societies versus, like, you know, farming where they stayed put and they had
and
more
whoever
kids.
had the food had the power.
Well, not only that, they had more kids. They were able to have more kids because they had more food. Whereas, like, you're a hunter-gatherer and shit, you're running there and there. Like, you got, like, it's a dangerous situation. You're always on the move, following the herds and this and that. So it's different. Whereas you got all of them resources and people are starting to rely on those resources, you know, it becomes a different situation. Like, oh, you can get this, but you can't get this, or whatever. And it starts that way. Like, why does anybody else care what anybody else is doing if it isn't about, like, a resource or some other shit? Like, I don't here's one that blows my mind. Why people hate gay people. Blows my fucking mind.
I don't know.
How? Okay. How? Okay, like, it doesn't make any sense unless you're trying to hide some shit, or like it makes you that uncomfortable where you're like, you want to hurt somebody. Like, that doesn't fucking compute.
That part, the latter part, is the part that boggles my mind the most, because, like, it's same thing with, like, a race. Like, you don't like a person that much that you would, like, commit a hate crime. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous to me that you would go that far and stoop so low. And if I've been taught, if I don't like a motherfucker, I just stay away from him.
Right.
Problem solved.
Well, and that's the other thing. Okay, so there's a problem here in America with the amount of people we have. See, we have a lot of fucking people here that we can talk to, and then, like, if we have a conflict with them, we can just move on to the next motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple. Small towns, they don't have that luxury.
Nope.
And villages definitely don't have that luxury. You know what I mean?
They're stuck with each other.
Yeah, and they need each other. They all rely on each other, and they're all there for the same purpose. So there's there's conflict. People aren't going to sit there and say, oh, you know, you're trying to tell me villages never fight? Yes. Parents fight, you know? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But that's always two different wills, two different ideas. But when we have a solid goal between each other, then it is what it is.
Right.
And I'm getting blown up. And I'm going to take a quick look at this. And, okay, it doesn't matter. So, yeah. It's tribalism. But I did find that shit earlier. I was talking about, it was called the realistic conflict theory. And if you look it up on Wikipedia, you can see for yourself what I was talking about. The Robbers Cave Study, 1954, about those kids and shit. So
look it up.
Yeah. How much time have we got?
Well, we're about at an hour.
You want to
So, but yeah, before we shut it down, what was the other question we got on Twitter? Well, this would be a quicken. The food. What was the food? Edward J. Renegades asked, "What was the food that you had you remember the most?"
A food that you had that you remember the most? It's really hard because I remember a lot of different foods that I love, like certain moments. Like I was saying earlier,
yeah,
this Texas Road Steakhouse, bomb ass. Like I had a tomahawk steak, a ribeye steak, bro, amazing. It melted in my mouth. It was like butter, and there was butter and rosemary and shit on top. Or like when I stopped over at my aunt's house when she lived over South Side, and got fry bread during Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of things like that. And her wild rice soup, man, that shit's so good.
I don't eat pork anymore, so I think about it a lot. Is collard greens with ham hocks.
Oh man, the last time I had that, it was at Rob and Lori's house.
But what I think about the most is, and it's really cheesy, but you remember Ponderosa?
Mm-hmm. Oh my god,
yeah, we used to go there like all the time, and I miss it so much. Like, steak buffet.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. They have that still.
Word? Where? A Ponderosa?
No, it's a different thing now. But you get all you can eat steak, and it's Golden Corral.
I've never been.
And actually, Old Country Buffet does steak now.
They don't even exist here anymore.
I know. But Golden Corral does it. Actually, there is one more, I believe, here. Just like there's one last Blimpie in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yep. On the East Coast, when I was growing up, Blimpie did seafood salad sandwiches and shit.
That sounds good.
And like this one place did like lobster rolls and all of that loveliness.
I miss Church's chicken.
Yeah, actually.
It was delicious. And every time I go to Detroit, I'm like, Rowena, let's go to Church's Chicken. And she's like, no.
Another food that I think about a lot is when I was doing work on this guy named Ahmed's house, and his wife Fatima was cooking, and she had made me some food, and she gave me like rice with goat meat and bananas. And I was like, what's the bananas for? And she was like, you can mix it in with the stuff. And there was like salad, obviously. And I was like, I don't know about this. And I ate it, and it was fucking bomb, actually, dude. Like bananas with the rice and the fucking goat meat.
It sounds weird, but it sounds delicious at the same time.
It was good. And they didn't give me forks. I had to eat with my hand.
Nice.
So I was like, but I washed my hands, obviously. But it was pretty good. I think about that. Or the little... What were those sambusas?
Oh, I like every time I go over south, I get some.
The one off of Franklin.
Yeah.
Yep. Over
Franklin
by
and Bloomington.
Yep.
It's the best place ever.
Yeah, right there in the corner.
Yeah.
Yep. I get them from there, or the one by the check cashing place on Franklin. I
haven't had that one yet.
It's right. You know where the PPL building is?
Yeah.
On the corner of like, I think it's 11th and Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
By that bakery, like right. On the other end of the block is another place that sells right next to the check cashing place.
I'll have to check that out.
Yep. They're not bad either. A little greasier than the other ones, but they're pretty good. What else do you think about when it comes to food? I mean, I remember
funeral spaghetti.
Yep, funeral spaghetti. Yep.
Something about it, man. It's just
that's my thing.
Wow.
That's all. I like to say it's all the tears. Add a certain amount of salt into the water. I don't know. I think it's because they make a big batch of it and it sits overnight, or usually. And
it's the flavor settles.
Yeah. I don't know. I believe that's probably it. I don't know, and the care that goes into it, I guess.
Yeah.
Unless people are like, man, I fucking hate these motherfuckers. I can't. Wait.
Well, let's call it. I gotta run to the bathroom.
You look like you do.
Something fierce. I've been dancing.
All right, bro.
Well, thanks for listening, you guys. Follow us on Twitter.
I forgot
at
that
Nuclear
camera
Play.
was there most of the time. Follow us at Nuclear Play
on Twitter, and we've got a YouTube channel. We'll have the link in the bio and all that stuff. And yeah.
All right.
Peace.
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 Peace.